everybody. It's a pleasure to provide the introduction to today's session. I'm Ross Calladine. I'm the Accessibility and Inclusion Lead at Visit England. We're one side of the National Tourism Agency along with Visit Britain. And also I'm currently the Disability and Access Ambassador for the tourism industry for UK government. So Visit England has a really key role in facilitating a more accessible and inclusive tourism industry. So my role is all about facilitating you as tourism businesses and destinations like the Cotswolds to tap into this valuable and growing tourism market. So just wanted to speak for about 5 to 10 minutes just to give you some background, and then we'll pass over to colleagues at AccessAble. Some of the key context, the statistics here, officially it's around 1 in 4 of the UK population who meet that government definition of being disabled, so about 16.1 million people. And the importance for us as tourism businesses is that that's highly likely to affect when many of these people choose to stay and choose to visit. It's actually only, though, estimated to be around 7% of disabled people that use a wheelchair. So often we think about physical access for that group because the international symbol of disability is a wheelchair. And if you can make your property and your premises accessible for that group, there's a really strong return. But if not, there's another 93% that we should be thinking about. You won't be accessible to everybody, but everybody can be accessible to someone. The good news is that it's got a lot of commercial value for you. Most of you are commercial operators, and what we call the tourism purple pound, which is the spend of disabled tourists in England, is over £14.6 billion a year. That's how much disabled travellers and their travelling companions are spending on trips each year in England. But however, it could be much bigger. 50% of people who identify as disabled didn't take a holiday in England in the last 12 months, and that compares to 35% of non-disabled people. And that's an overnight trip in England. And there's lots of reasons for that, but one of the reasons is due to barriers in our businesses and our destinations, whether that's physical barriers, digital barriers, relating to information, or attitudinal barriers from our staff. So we all need to be working really to remove these barriers and promoting a more positive and equal experiences for all. So you may have seen that Visit England produces lots of guidance, free tools for the industry. And in December last year, we launched our latest accessible and inclusive tourism toolkit for businesses. So it's a complete set of guidance for you as tourism businesses. It's freely available on our industry website. So you can go along to visitengland.org/access, and you'll find a link to the toolkit. And you can find top 20 tips, practical action checklists specific to your type of business. And if you're doing a new build or a conversion, there's some more detailed technical guidance for you as well. So all the guidance is there, freely available. One particular area of importance is information. So many disabled people are put off visiting a venue if there's no access information on a venue's website. So for you to provide information on accessibility, it's going to enable people with different access requirements and their family and friends who are booking trips on their behalf to make informed decisions as to where to stay and where to visit. And remember, this includes not just wheelchair users, but people who are deaf, have hearing loss, maybe have a sensory or cognitive impairment, neurodiverse people. Older people in general will benefit from this information, as will families with younger children. So lots of people looking for this information. And the best way to do it is to have a specific section on your website. So you can have an accessibility page which pulls together some key informative elements, including what we call your key accessibility features. And we've got some questionnaires to help you identify what those key features are, and you can list them on your page. And then the other important aspect is what's called an accessibility guide. And that describes and visually shows the layout of each area of your business. So it follows the typical route that a visitor would take around your business from arrival, entering, getting around, and can include measurements, photographs, and hundreds of pieces of useful information. So to support you as tourism and hospitality businesses of all different types and sizes to provide an access guide, Visit England and also Cotswold Tourism, as part of the Cotswold Plus local visitor economy partnership, we've joined forces with AccessAble, and they're a leader in quality accessibility information provision. So they're the experts in this space. So today you're going to be hearing about the AccessAble service, and also we're making available with them some real significant discounts to their service so that you've got a golden opportunity to improve your welcome for disabled people and others with access requirements. So really, without any further ado, I wanted to now pass over to the team at AccessAble. We've got Carrie-Anne and Rosalie with us today, and they're going to run a really informative webinar for you. So over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Ross, and good morning to everybody. And thank you for giving up your time today, or rather than giving up, investing your time in something extremely useful that hopefully is going to provide you a return. So just to give a quick introduction, my name is Rosalie Votadoro. I'm Head of Business Development here at AccessAble. My background with disability comes through, my son is autistic, and my brother is a wheelchair user. So that is my background. I'm just going to pass over to Carrie-Anne, who'll introduce herself before we get into the presentation this morning.
Thank you, Rosalie. So my name's Carrie-Anne Lightly. I'm Head of Marketing and Comms at AccessAble. I'm a wheelchair user myself. I have cerebral palsy and I love to travel. I've worked more broadly in accessible travel and tourism for almost 20 years. So really excited to be sharing with you today the AccessAble service and the difference that we can help you make to disabled tourists.
Thank you, Carrie-Anne. So, as we said, and as Ross said, we are AccessAble, and we provide detailed access guides to places and spaces and venues throughout the United Kingdom. So thank you, Carrie-Anne is presenting today. So just going to go over some of those stats that Ross gave today, because if you're anything like me, I need to hear the numbers several times before it goes in. So there are over 60 million disabled people across the UK, and that means 4.9 million carers as well. And that translates into 1 in 4 households being affected by disability. So we're not talking about a niche area here at all. So Ross mentioned as well that it's not just people who have a disability that have access requirements. We have 45% of people over 65 require more attention when it comes to access. And good access is important for everybody, as Ross said, for families with children. Any of you have tried to maneuver buggies and little children around places and spaces will know that. And as Ross mentioned, the economic value cannot be understated. £249 billion is the value of that purple pound. So it makes sense. It makes business sense. And businesses are businesses because they need to make money. If they don't make money, then there aren't businesses anymore. So, you know, let's not be not be particular about it. You know, we can do things if it makes economic sense, and at the same time we can do something which makes moral sense as well, but they need to go hand in hand for it to be viable for businesses. So thank you, Carrie-Anne. So let's have a look at some of the statistics regarding accessibility. So 95% of people check accessibility in advance of going to a new place. And these figures come from a survey that we carried out with over 1,000 different respondents. And I'm not talking about a small, 5-minute survey on Facebook. I'm talking about a detailed questionnaire. So 95% of people check for accessibility before attending a new place. 90% of those people said that it was extremely important to know about accessibility before visiting a place for the first time. 87% of respondents that they expected to find that information on the venue's website. 95 said that they felt anxious before visiting somewhere new due to worries about accessibility. Thank you, Carrie-Anne. And the figures continue. 77% of people who responded to this interview said that they had not visited a venue because they couldn't find out about accessibility. 73% said that they had to leave a venue as it wasn't accessible to them. And 96% said having accessibility information available in advance would make them more likely to visit. So the figures speak for themselves. The greatest barrier to inclusivity for people living with disability is the amount or the lack of quality assured, accurate accessibility information. I'm just going to give you a quick background now on AccessAble and how we came into being. So AccessAble is a disabled person-led organisation. It was set up by our chair and founder, Gregory Burke, after his own experience of becoming a wheelchair user in his late teens. Gregory suffered from a severe brain illness, which resulted in him spending over 4.5 years in and out of hospital and rehabilitation centres. And whilst he was in these institutions, he was aware of his new impairments. But it wasn't until he came back out into the community as a young man wanting to pick up with his friends, go to places and spaces, and also obviously attend hospital appointments, go to the pharmacy, etc., etc. But he found that he couldn't, and it was then that he became aware that he was now disabled. So he decided to, he was very frustrated. It was very difficult trying to find information, and people in general want to be kind. So when you made those phone calls to find out about accessibility, people tried to present their venue in the most positive way because they wanted to be available and supportive. But what happened was that didn't then match expectation. And when Gregory arrived at a place or space, found that in effect it was inaccessible to him. And I think that's the experience of lots of disabled people. My son is autistic, and it's very difficult if you have planned a visit to a venue and you've rung up and you've looked on their website and you think you've got all your aces covered, and then you get there and you find that it isn't, or it's not a positive experience. And the fallout from that and the lasting legacy is, one of at very least disappointment. And that becomes, it wears you down if that becomes your repetitive experience, that expectation is constantly not being met. It makes you reluctant then to embark on outings and visits. So back in 2001, Gregory went up and down the country to find out about other people's experience of living with disability. And he collated all that information, and our first website was launched back in March 2002. Thank you, Carrie-Anne. So when the first website was launched, everybody said, "Oh, fantastic, that's wonderful, but you haven't done this, and what about this?" And that has been our guiding rudder since then, going back continually to disabled people and disabled groups and asking them what they really need, and are we providing the service that they require. So fast forwarding now to 2024, we're in our 25th year of operation. We now have over 6 million unique users on our website, which is free for users to use. We partner up with over 475 different organisations in the public and private sector, 95 NHS trusts, nearly all universities in the UK, local authorities, high street favourites like Marks and Spencer's, Next, B&Q, and we are now firmly into our tourism era, partnering up with TUI, for example, to produce accessible holiday destinations. So that means that we have surveyed over 125,000 different venues so far. Thank you, Carrie-Anne. So our detailed access guides, well, we see that there are three facets of accessibility information. First of all, information. How can a disabled person find out about a space before they use it? Fundamental, crucial. The second facet is how can we be certain that a disabled person feels supported and welcome on arrival? And then thirdly, how can a space be made to be more inclusive? And as Ross said, very succinctly, not everyone will be accessible to everyone, but everyone will be accessible to some. And that's what you need to be aiming for. So we manage expectation through information, and those are our detailed access guides. We help businesses support disabled people by providing an e-learning opportunity, both for employees and for managers. And finally, how improvements can be made to the physical space. And we do this through providing for eyes only, for venue eyes only, guidance reports on their physical space. Because quite often, people say, oh no, I can't possibly be accessible because, it's a listed building, we have this, we have that. But as Ross said, 7% of disabled people are full-time wheelchair users. There are 93% of other disabled people that you can cater for. And often making improvements to physical spaces doesn't have to be a great big refurbishment job. Those are, the gold standard. But what you can do are make small, low cost or no cost adjustments. So for example, just by, if you place a mirror and a shelf and a coat hook in an accessible bathroom, you immediately make that space usable for somebody living with a stoma. Because we also have to remember that there are very many disabilities which are hidden as well. So thank you, Carrie-Anne. So as Ross said in his introduction, we have partnered up together to provide a way for SMEs to get on board and commission their detailed access guides to their places and spaces. And this accessibility guide portal we have developed really off the back of feedback from our users, because as I mentioned before in the presentation, we partner up with very large organisations, but the feedback was going, well, there's this wonderful self-catering cottage that I use with amazing amenities. Would they be able to be on your website? And SMEs coming to us saying, we'd really like to get on board. How can we do it? And there wasn't really a cost-effective way for doing that until now with our accessibility guide portal. So it's a way for SMEs to self-serve, commission a detailed access guide, and I'll speak to you a little bit about that later. So that is essentially how we have partnered up with Visit England and Visit Scotland. So AccessAble's detailed access guides, what are they? What do they do? Well, they do exactly what they say on the tin. They are detailed. They collate hundreds of pieces of information per guide. They're factual. They're informative measurements, facts and figures, and photographs. We don't provide judgments. Other sites do an excellent job in providing feedback and giving evaluations of venues, places, and spaces. But we sit alongside that by giving the information to the person who requires it, for them to decide whether that place meets their accessibility requirements. And as I said before, all the information contained in our detailed access guides is there for a reason. It's because people have asked for its inclusion. So everything we do is user driven. Hundreds of engagements and events each year with disabled people. Thank you, Carrie-Anne. So how do we compile our detailed access guides? Well, firstly, they are all surveyor assessed. Our feedback from users is, again, that matching expectation that surveying or providing detailed information about accessibility is not something that everybody can do, because not everybody sees what they need to be looking for. So we are a small business. We employ about 120 people. Half of those are full-time surveyors employed by us and trained by us. They use a unique piece of technology which enables them to collate information. So that means that all the information in all the guides is consistent. So a detailed access guide, the way it is presented, the information that it contains will be the same in the Cotswolds as it will be in Dundee. It's exactly the same. And importantly, all the information is quality assured and accredited processes to the ISO 9001. So that gives users confidence when they use the guides. Thank you, Carrie-Anne. So, as I mentioned before, the accessibility improvement report, these guidance documents that we provide for venues eyes only, and they provide guidance on what you could do to improve the place or space. So they're not very sexy to look at, if you excuse the turn of phrase. They are in spreadsheet format, but that's because people have told us that's the easiest way of quickly accessing that information. Red, amber, green, and so it allows people to see exactly what they need to do rather than trolling through long reports. Thank you, Carrie-Anne. So let's get down to the detailed access guides. Let's get back to that. So we have two types of surveyor assessment that we have created for the use with the portal. There's our traditional guided assessment, or this is our non-traditional guided assessment, sorry. This is the new development that we have created especially for the portal, and it's a cost-effective solution for SMEs. It provides a comprehensive survey by an AccessAble surveyor, but via video call. So there's no prior training needed. The call is typically between 30 and 60 minutes, and all that you require is good Wi-Fi, a smartphone with a camera, Microsoft Teams app, and a tape measure. And what happens is the business or venue through the call can guide the surveyor round, but it is the surveyor's eyes which command the assessment, and the surveyor instructs the person on the other end of the call how to take the measurements, what photographs to take, which are uploaded immediately for the surveyor to control. So it's all surveyor controlled, but it allows us to be able to do this from a distance, which we pass on that saving to businesses and venues. So that's our new model that we have rolled out, simply because, again, as I said before, it's matching expectation. Self-assessment doesn't guarantee expectations, and that leads to disappointment. So on-site assessment, so this is our traditional format used for larger, more complex venues, especially venues where there is a longer dwell time, for example. And here our experienced surveyors come on site, and they are able to take an enhanced survey because they'll be able to measure gradients, lighting, color contrast. They can listen, they can check the assisted listening devices and take additional measurements. So it's a more comprehensive survey because the surveyor is on site. But again, minimal staff time is required. Our surveyors are very experienced. They'll have contacted you and arranged, obviously, the appointment date. They'll come and they'll introduce themselves to you, and then they're quite experienced enough to be walking around your venue unaccompanied. They collect hundreds of points of different data and high quality photographs and these amazing 360-degree images, which really do place you in the heart of a space or place. You can really understand exactly where you are going. Sorry, Carrie-Anne, thank you. So I'm just going to give you a little video now. I'm going to give you a rest your ears from my voice, and you can have a look at the experience of two people who carried out both an assessed survey and an in-person survey on their business venues. Thank you, Carrie-Anne.
Thank you, everyone. I'm hoping the audio is going to work here. We've had some challenges with slides this morning, so just bear with.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Are you able to hear that? Yes?
Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carrie-Anne. So I'm just going to introduce you quickly to our site, that's accessable.co.uk. You type this in and you will land on our landing page. Our landing page is essentially a search engine, and it's intuitive for the user, very much in the same way as Google. So you begin by typing in your search, and it will provide some suggestions. But we also use, differently to Google, we also use a tool called Recite Me, which makes our site accessible as possible for users. It can change the background color, the font, for example, dyslexia-friendly font. It can speak the language to you in 65 different languages. And we also have a new facility on board, which is Sign Live. So somebody who has sign language as their first language can have the site signed to them in real time. Thank you, Carrie-Anne. So as I said, the landing page is very much intuitive, like Google. Begin typing in your destination or the place you're looking for, and it comes up with a list of possibilities. You click on the green search button. Thank you, Carrie-Anne. Or you can search by type of venue. So for example, here we've got self-catering in the Cheshire area, and we hit search. And again, it flags up a list of possible venues on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, for those of us who are geographically challenged, there is a nice little map. So if you then select the venue that you want to have a look at, you can search by, for example, by adding in as a further filter the symbols. So for example, if it was really important for you when you're looking for self-catering accommodation that there was blue badge parking available, you could click that blue badge parking or accessible bays parking symbol there, add that to the apply symbols, and the search would be further filtered by that. Thank you, Carrie Ann. So here we are, Kerridge End Holiday Cottages. And as you can see on the left-hand side, you have all of their detailed information, their telephone number, their email, their website, and you can view their accessibility symbols. On the right, you have these wonderful colour photographs, which go to full page. And that really helps people who suffer from anxiety or who are neurodiverse to get a real idea of where they're going to. So clicking through the guide, as Ross said, the guides intend to take you on a logical journey up to and into and throughout the venue. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a series of tabs that have been developed by the surveyor who had carried out your survey. So here we have the accommodation overview, photographs, a little bit of text. Clicking through the guide, thank you, Carrie Ann. We go into the parking, again, colour photographs, go to full size and some information. And clicking through again, we go to the entrance. So here we have a beautiful example of levelled access entrance. But for example, if there were a step here, we would measure the height and width of the step, whether the step was clearly marked, whether there were handrails, etc. So all the information in there. Thank you, Carrie Ann. We go into the kitchen area and these fabulous 360-degree images, which really do make you feel, really do take you there and give you a real sense of the space. And again, they are accompanied by text information, factual, as I said before, no judgment calls. We don't give evaluations of your accessibility. We're appealing to a pan-disability audience. So as Ross said before, you know, what is accessible for one person might not be accessible for another, but you can find some way to be accessible. So thank you. Going into the lounge. So we would take essential measurements, sort of like the maneuverability of the space within each of those rooms, the height of furniture, whether the television, for example, had subtitles. In the kitchen, we'd be looking at the height of counters, whether there was any under counter space. Obviously, we'd be measuring whether the utensils like the fridge and the cooker were accessible to somebody in a wheelchair. And then moving to the bedroom, obviously maneuverability for the space for a wheelchair, the height of the bed for transfer, and then into the bathroom. Now, our surveyors spend most of their time in the bathroom because there is so much information to collate. So you will find an awful lot of information there on bathrooms, as you can see. So we'd be looking at, for example, whether there was an accessible toilet, whether the toilet had grab rails, what type of grab rails, colour contrast. We'd be looking at the transfer side from the wheelchair to the toilet, whether somebody could wash and dry their hands before re-transferring back onto their wheelchair. We'd look at colour contrast, the type of taps, and in publicly accessible toilets, for example, we'd be looking at whether the type of latch or door handle, the weight of the door, the way the door opens, etc. So a lot of information on bathrooms. So we also have different ways to search for something within our site. So you can, if, for example, you have a larger than standard wheelchair, so wherever you are going, you need to know that you're not going to get stuck, that you can pass through doors. So you might put door into that search access guide there on the top right hand side, and then all the way through the guide where that word or phrase appears will be highlighted. So you could check door measurements, for example, if that is fundamental for you. There's another way to conduct your search as well. It's not everybody needs the same level of granular detail. Some people just need to get a feel and to see the photographs. So you can click onto that easy read toggle there on the top right hand corner, and then that strips away a lot of that granular detail, leaving the colour photographs and the essential measurements. Thank you, Carrie-Anne. So I'm just going to pass over to Carrie-Anne now, who's going to talk you through the accessibility guide portal. Thank you, Carrie-Anne.
Thank you, Rosalie, and thank you everyone for bearing with me on slides this morning. Technology is unfortunately not my friend today. But it's great to be with you all. And so Rosalie's just really well demonstrated there our website and what a detailed access guide to a place, space or venue might look like. And that's ultimately where disabled people would go to search for this information. As Rosalie said, we're fortunate enough to have 6 million unique users annually now. And what I'm going to spend a couple of minutes showing you is the portal that you can use to commission your own detailed access guide, which is where you would go through to learn more information about it, etc., and ultimately have a detailed access guide published on accessable.co.uk that looks like the lovely cottage that Rosalie just showed you. So here you can see the portal. This is our specific portal in partnership with Cotswolds Plus, and so we've got a nice image of the Cotswolds at the top here, the Visit England logo and a link through to further discounts, which I'm going to tell you about in a moment. So when you go on to the portal, you will see further down some branding from Cotswolds Plus, so you know you're in the right place, a little bit of text about our partnership. And then throughout the portal, there is lots of text information. All of the text information that you see is also available in videos. So we see a little placeholder video from Ross here talking about why you should have a detailed access guide. And the idea of the portal is that it's entirely self-served, so that if somebody who doesn't know anything about detailed access guides or the importance of access information comes across it, they can navigate through the website to learn about what a detailed access guide is, why they're important for your business, why you should have one. It also gives really clear distinction between the two different types of assessment, as Rosalie explained earlier, guided assessment being more suitable for smaller venues and on-site being more suitable for larger and more complex venues, particularly where dwell time is significant. So you can see a comparison between the two assessment types. You can then go through to our wizard to get your quote. So this wizard will ask you a few key questions about your venue type and size. It's very quick to complete. So for most venues, it should only take about 30 seconds, maximum 60 seconds for some of the larger venues. When you go through this, answering some key questions about your venue type and size, and it will then deliver a quote for your venue. If your venue is a suitable size for either assessment type, then you'll be given comparative quotes for each. If it's only suitable for on-site assessment because of a larger size, then the portal will tell you that and will ultimately direct you to the on-site assessment option. Once you have your quote, you can click these green buttons at the bottom to buy now and go through to the order form, which I'll show you in a moment. You can also click the purple buttons to find out more, which will give you some more detailed information on each assessment type, and it will also give you an example of a detailed access guide created via each assessment type. If you click buy now, you'll be taken through to this order form to add in your key details, name, contact number, email, etc. Add in some details about your venue and your contact details, and then you can click through next to check out via our payment partner Stripe. So we use Stripe checkout for the most reliable option there. Oh, I don't know what happened to my slides there. Bear with me one moment. Here we go. I'm hoping you can still see that because I can't see presenter view. Thank you, Sophie. So the part that everybody wants to know about, discounts and fees. So Ross mentioned I'm sorry, I think there's somebody else controlling my slides. I didn't click that then. Bear with me one moment. I'm not able to see any slide controls at all.
Do you want to stop sharing and then reshare, maybe?
Here we
Oh,
go.
there you go.
That's working now.
Brilliant.
I think somebody in the audience might have clicked take control by accident. Apologies, everyone. As I say, technology really isn't my friend this morning. So discounts and fees. As I said, this is what everybody wants to know about. Ross mentioned in the beginning that AccessAble are working alongside Visit England to offer out these really compelling discounts so that we can try and support as many businesses, places, spaces and venues as possible to create this crucial information which is so vital for disabled visitors. So we have a £1 plus VAT option for guided assessment for 3-bed or less self-catering properties and small visitor attractions. For larger businesses and venues, there's a 75% discount for guided assessment and a 50% discount for on-site assessments. All of the discounts have a finite budget. So I believe we have plenty left in the pot at the moment, but essentially once that budget is spent, then the discounts won't be available anymore. And then in terms of how much does it cost? So as Rosalie mentioned in the beginning, we are a business and we are supporting other businesses to ultimately get more business. But we keep these costs as low as possible to essentially cover our production costs. Nobody is making a huge profit here. For a guided assessments start from £85 plus VAT. An on-site assessment would start from £125 plus VAT and would work up through a sliding scale depending on the type and size of the business. There is, after 18 months, a range of renewal options to support us to keep the information up to date because, of course, accessibility information is only as good as how up to date it is. So if there is no change, the renewal starts from £20 plus VAT and then works up again, dependent on the type of assessment and the level of change within the business. And then what that translates to from a user-facing point of view. So Rosalie showed you earlier the detailed access guide on the AccessAble website. Each area that we work in has its own landing page on AccessAble. So this is really helpful from the point of view of search engine optimization. So if I'm a disabled person searching for access information for venues in the Cotswolds and I type that into Google, I'm very likely to land on this landing page. And again, we've worked with Cotswold Plus to brand this up so there is a hero image reflecting the area, a partner logo, and then some text about the area and why you should visit. Some further photographs, and then essentially this search box here will be populated by all of the venues that come through the portal to have their detailed access guides created. They will sit behind this landing page and search box. And here is the URL if you'd like to. Oh, thank you so much, Ross. Ross has just dropped some text in the chat about that £1 VAT discount offer. URL is cotswoldplus.youraccessibilityguide.co.uk if you'd like to explore the portal and your options for having a detailed access guide. That is the end of our presentation. I'll just leave Rosalie and mine's contact details up here for a moment in case you'd like to capture them. Anybody has any questions or feedback, etc., we're very happy to pick that up.
Has anyone got any questions? I know that the presentation is so detailed, it's great, but if there are any questions, then we've got a few minutes left. Oh, I think that's testament to your presentation, guys.
Can I just say one thing more, Sophie? Because I just want to Ross has very helpfully put a comment in the chat in case it didn't come out strongly enough, that the £1 plus VAT guided assessment offer is available to all single shops or cafes, restaurants, pubs and bars and visitor information centres, safe catering units, single self-catering units and B&Bs with a 1 to 3 bedrooms, small campsites and attractions. So that's in the text. And I'd just like to finish by, addressing the elephant in the room, which is this going to make my business look bad? And the answer is no. Detailed access guide does not make your business look bad. Your business venue is your business venue. I'd just like to go back to reiterating what Ross has said, and from my experience of caring for somebody with accessibility issues, it's important to manage expectations. And if you have the information before you visit a place, you can make reasonable adjustments yourself to how you approach your visit. You can bring somebody extra with you. You can maybe rest the day before. There are lots of different ways, but the important thing about detailed access guides is that they give the decision making on what is accessible back into the hands of the person with the accessibility needs. Because there are so many different types of disability, it would be wrong and it would be limiting and it would take away somebody's dignity for other people to decide what is accessible for each person. So I just want to finish on that. Managing expectations, much better. Your business will be accessible, as Ross said, to some, not everyone, but that's a start. Thank you.
Rosalie, can I just ask, we've got the
Yeah.
Cheltenham Ice Rink coming back this month. It's only here for 5 weeks. Is it worth, and I don't mean it in a detrimental way, is it worth doing for a temporary attraction that's only here for 5 weeks? Or would it take that long to get it on your website that it would have passed the time by the time it's live?
Question. That's a very good question. I think I'd have to take advice from my colleague who deals with strategic projects. Okay. That's a very good. But if, for example, does your ice rink take the same or similar format every year? Is it in the same place? So it maybe does. It's something that could be done. But yeah,
we do know that they're coming back next year. They were with us last year, and we've got planning permission to keep them for this year and next. So.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, yeah. I will. If you can leave your contact information, then I'll get back to you today on an answer.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'll put it in the chat box.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I have just dropped the link to the portal, to the dedicated Cotswolds Plus portal into the chat. So feel free to click through there, explore, and all of our contact details are on there as well. If you've got any queries, you'd like to get in touch with the team directly.
If anyone has any wider questions on accessibility now that they want to ask of me or the team at AccessAble, no questions are silly questions. So do take the opportunity if you've got any burning questions on accessibility now.
I noticed that you have just one tour operator listed on your site. Are you able to say a few words about assessment of experience of tours and how that works and the positivity which comes out of it for visitors? Carrie-Anne, do you want to, as our travel blogger?
Absolutely, yeah, no problem. So we do have a number of different sort of tours or experiences listed, but it does depend where in the country you're searching. So we did work with Visit Kent on a specific project to bring in experience operators that didn't have a venue, place or space. I think maybe about 12 months ago. So I think okay, just searched on tours and it came up with Glasgow train station. Okay. So I think in terms of how it's valuable, well, if I'm a disabled person going on a tour, there's almost even more information that I need to know about, because it's not quite as simple as going from A to B and knowing that my venue is going to be accessible when I get there. If there are multiple stops on a tour, if it's a tour with transport provided, if it's not, if it's a walking tour, can I join in with a wheelchair? Is it, is there going to be level access, etc.? What are the different venues going to be like? What's the toilet provision? So there is absolutely value. I would say even more value in offering that out to disabled visitors, and it's certainly something that we can organise surveying of.
Carrie-Anne, can you see the chat?
I can, yeah, I'm just catching up. Okay, so somebody's asked if there's any opportunities for working with me on any blog articles. So we do have opportunities for that, and also for AccessAble's wider ambassador network. So we have a network of 40 brand ambassadors of, they're all disabled content creators, influencers, have audiences in their own right, based throughout the UK. So yes, there are absolutely opportunities to work with that network and with me as part of that if you're looking for specific content creation for disabled visitors. So feel free to contact me and we can look at the options for that as well.
Lisa, if I can just get back to you, the fantastic strategic projects manager has already got back to me about the ice rink. So yes, that is something that we could do, and we could get it pushed through in order for it to be live in time. So if you'd like to send over some information, then we could get that done. Wonderful. Certainly. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Well,
that's excellent.
Thanks doesn't go to me, it goes to my colleague Amy Walmsley.
Thank you, Amy.
Very efficient.
No problem, Lisa.
Our guru.
And that is actually, I think it is really important, particularly when you've got things like that are temporary but coming back and coming back in the same form, etc. I think it is really important for both residents and visitors, but particularly visitors, to be able to access that information and know if it's going to be suitable for them before they come.
We're actually working with our local college called National Star, and they're coming with some of their students who are in wheelchairs and have other accessibility needs to assess it on the first day. But this would take it to the next level. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, fabulous.
They're actually going to be the very first ones on the ice. They were last year as well, and then they're going to feed back on what we can do to improve.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that's a wonderful way of getting local engagement. Absolutely.
Yeah, keep us posted, because we'd love to link up with that.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Is that it? I think, yeah. If there's any other questions, like everyone said, do get in touch with the team. And I can also forward anything that you'd like to ask. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else they'd like to say.
It's just a request to share our contact details. Yeah.
I'll pop mine and Rosalie's in now.
Thank you so much, everybody, for showing an interest in the service that we provide and for supporting accessibility. I think we can all remember how absolutely horrid it was during lockdown when we were not able to go out because we weren't allowed to. Well, a lot of the time that's how disabled people and their families feel. They feel trapped at home, unable to participate in the communities and travel around because of the lack of information. So the very fact that you are interested enough to be here is fantastic. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much. It's been really useful.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much indeed.
Have a good day.
Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.